So I've got 7 points that I want to share with you that have to do with the reasons why I believe narcissists. There are just way too many narcissists here in the world. There are more narcissists than normal people in the world. So, of course, this is my own opinion based on my own observations and experiences, right? And one of the things that I've noticed is that, here in South Africa, we are having a serious problem of narcissism. I don't know if any of you know that our country is actually the capital city of crime or the headquarters of crime. I think our country is one of the highest where crime is concerned. And so that speaks to the level of aggression, the level of cold heartedness, the level of hostility, the level of cruelty. I mean, this is, one of those countries where literally every day, a child is abused. Children and women basically are abused and unalived. And these days they are even being sold. They are disappearing. So there are a lot of horrible things that are happening here in our country on a daily basis, not even every other day, on a daily basis. And there's little to no justice where these things are concerned. So it's a serious problem. And this video is not even to talk about the crime per se with regards to my country, but it's really to talk about the problem of narcissism. And what I've observed is that there are just way too many narcissists here in my country, because I can't speak to America other than what I observe on TV and in social media and so forth. But here, based on personal experience and observation, there are just way too many narcissists in our world or in my country. There are just way too many of them. All right. So once again, this is not going to align with the information that's out there, statistical information and so forth. But based on my observation, I would say there are more narcissists than there are normal people. And this is not a very comfortable conclusion to come to. This is not a very, nice or comforting statistics that anyone would want to conclude. But once again, I've been studying, I've been observing this thing, I've been looking at it literally for more than 35 years now. So it's a serious thing. It's a serious problem. And so I've observed various social settings, communities, social groups, corporate environments, schools, even religious and spiritual settings. There are just way too many narcissists in those type of places, in those type of settings, in those type of environments. There are just way too many narcissists. And it's a problem. It's a problem. To give you some little bit of examples here with regards to social groups and so forth. How many of you ended up having to leave certain groups? Either sometimes it can even be a career. Many of you, how many of you ended up not even enjoying being in school because of this problem? How many of you ended up having to leave your religious or spiritual group because of this problem? How is it possible that people end up having to walk away from certain things that would, under normal circumstances, be good enough for them? I didn't even mention family settings here. How is it possible that people end up having to walk away from things that are typically very important, things that no one would want to walk away from? All because there are just way too many toxic people in the environment. Quite often you don't see even that you are dealing with many narcissists in an environment, because usually, there's one or two that stand out more so than others. I don't know what is it about them, but they've got this thing, narcissist, whereby whenever it is that they are in a group setting, they organize themselves, and it's an unspoken thing, which is one of the reasons why I strongly believe that they are connected to, the matrix somehow. They are connected to this this stream of consciousness that is basically controlling the world and trying to take it in an opposite direction. It's a demonic stream, of course, but there's some kind of an organized system, if I should put it that way, And there are spiritual people that often talk about the order that is there, even in the astral realm, the lower astral realm, in the realm of hell, basically, where all the demons there, they've got some kind of a hierarchy that they've got going on. You understand? And so there are certain demons that understand that they are the lowest of the lowest, and then they understand that there are other demons that are above them. And so there's some kind of a hierarchy that they adhere to. You understand? Even in hell, can you believe it? In the lower astral plane. So even here, how they manifest here in the physical realm, it's almost as if they still operate according to that kind of, there's some kind of a social hierarchy, some kind of a structure that they adhere to. And so what often happens is that within that particular, whenever it is that they are in a group setting and there's a whole lot of them together, they organize themselves. It's like they all know their roles within that particular group. And so most of the time, majority of the people, basically those that are the pack, they'll just, be quiet and quite often neutral and so on. And then you'd have just one or two within that group that stand out, and where you'll be able to see visibly, it will be just quite obvious right there in your face that you are dealing with narcissists here. But then when it comes to the rest of them, it's almost as if they play the good cop. They come across as if they are the good ones or the nice ones or the non-narcissist. You understand? They might even try and play the role of being victims of, the bigger narcissist. You understand? So there'll always be one or two that are dominant. And so because the rest of them are sort of like dormant, if we should put it that way, it comes across as if the rest of them are really not narcissists, and you're just dealing with one or two narcissists. And sometimes the rest of the group might even be acting like, they don't like the way this narcissist is operating. The narcissist is a narcissist. They're just normal people. And, you'll maybe even having conversations with them about how that you don't like what this narcissist is doing and all of those things, not knowing that all of them are narcissists undercover. You understand? So, I really believe that the only thing that's keeping the world from sudden annihilation with the level of, because let's face it, we're dealing with a situation where I really, really believe that at least, I don't think, real human beings are more than 30% of the population. I really don't believe that. I think even 30% is a lot. I believe real human beings are very few and far in between. That's my belief based on my own observation, and I'll be sharing those observations with you. So, and I believe that, the one thing that is keeping the world from, and this upside down world that we are living in, from completely annihilating itself just suddenly, instantly, because, narcissists are pretty much capable of that because they are very self-destructive. The reason why this annihilation, immediate and sudden annihilation, has not yet happened, it's most likely because maybe they are still, because of the few sparks, basically, of life within the real human beings. You understand? I believe that the little bit of goodness that still exists in the world has to do with the few good human beings, the few real human beings that still exist. But if narcissists were to be left to themselves, only God knows what would happen. Because even though there's some kind of a hierarchy and all of that they are adhering to, usually they do all of that because they are all working together with regards to making sure that they harvest energy from good human beings. Basically, they are organizing themselves towards getting food, towards getting their prey, which is the normal human being. So if the normal human being is not there and there's no food, there's no one to feed, to give them that supply, that narcissistic supply, that energetic supply that they need, then what are they going to do? They're going to self-destruct. You understand? They will completely be destroyed. So the only reason why they are still able to keep the game going is simply because there's still some food for them to basically keep going. They can still wake up another day with the hope that they will come across a good human being that they will harass and, steal their energy. That's the only reason why narcissists remain alive, because narcissists can't really give each other the kind of stuff that real human beings give to them. You understand? Real human beings, they've got that essence of life. So whenever it is that you get any kind of, interaction with a real human being, there's something that happens. There's life. There's the stuff of life that occurs. You understand? You feel good. I've seen many narcissists that I've interacted with, male and female both, and I'm sure you've also witnessed it as well. Few interactions with you, they look all sparkly, isn't it? They got a spring on their step. You understand? And this is all because you've got the stuff of life within you. So can you imagine if there were to be a situation where there would be no one to give them that stuff of life? What would happen to them? They would absolutely self-destruct, because all they'll do is immediately start destroying each other. That them organizing themselves the way that they're organizing themselves, it wouldn't work. This is why when the scapegoat leaves the narcissistic family, what happens is the narcissistic family begins to self-destruct. They might, at first try and hold things together by just, keep talking about how that the scapegoat abandoned the family, and they might bond over that and feed from whatever little bit of energy they get from basically just slandering that person's name and victimizing themselves. But as soon as they realize that, the scapegoat is not coming back, they begin to self-destruct. The whole setting begins to implode, because the only thing that is holding the world in place right now is literally the spark of life within the real human beings that still exist right now. You understand that? This is my take. This is how I see it. So let's look at the first point here. Why I believe narcissists, there are more narcissists than normal people in the world. Number one, I believe that narcissists need the numbers. They need numbers to be on their side, because let's face it, without the numbers, they are really fighting a losing battle. All right, because we've all seen that situation. A normal human being doesn't mind standing alone, but narcissists need numbers. They need 2 or 3 or 4 people to back them up. That's why a narcissist, when they try to manipulate you, they will always, or often mention the fact that, everyone says this and this and that about you. They will always co-opt other people into whatever agenda that they are busy doing. They'll always bring in other people into the chat, isn't it? Because they need the numbers to put some weight on whatever it is that they are doing. So I really believe that one of the ways that we can understand how the narcissistic matrix operate, the upside down world operates, one of the ways to understand it is by understanding the narcissist, because the narcissist is a human representation of the system itself. And so if the narcissist uses numbers like that, that means the system itself of this world needs to have numbers as well working on its side. And so this is why I say that I really believe that at some point in time, some portals were opened somewhere so that all the demonic souls can come in, so that evil people can have numbers on their side. You understand? Because then, evil people become like-minded people, and then they are all pursuing the same agenda. You understand? And with that, same agenda that they are all pursuing, then you, as someone else that is pursuing, as a normal human being that is pursuing a different agenda, you are almost always outnumbered in that environment. And many of you that are, into this kind of content, very well that many a times in your settings, you are outnumbered. And the only thing that you have on your side is the invisible forces of life. And I know some of you don't even believe in that because of, the soul trap content, which is, another story for another time. I definitely want to address that. But there is a benevolent force. There definitely is a benevolent force. One, and it's not on the same level as the dark forces of life. It's not like, how that yin yang kind of a situation is. There is that yin yang situation, isn't it? Where it's like, okay, we've got good this side, we've got evil this side, and they're all on the same level, and you just need to be neutral. I get that part, but this is not what we're talking about here. There's another level of benevolent forces that are above that. You understand? They are above this situation of, of what do you call this thing? Tit for tat. They are above that. So that's my take, and also that's my observation, that there is a force that absolutely wants to take humanity out of oppression. So, and not so that you can be oppressed again, because, soul trap community, I've consumed too much of soul trap community, and it's like, oh my word, it can take you in some direction. So you are not being taken out of, one situation of bondage or one circumstance of oppression so that you can go into another situation of oppression. But you are being taken out of oppression so that you can experience true liberation, true freedom, who you really are. the truth of who you are. You understand? So there is that benevolent force that is working with humanity in that regard. And unfortunately, that force doesn't operate the same way as the opposing forces of life and these other forces whereby, it's tit for tat. It's like, I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy, and, I'm here to destroy you. Let's just, have a duel. There's that thing that it's there, it's going on, and, it is what it is. It's just like how it is in politics, where we all know that, the two opposing sides are pretty much, the same coin, just two sides of the same coin. So we know that. But this is not what we are talking about. We are talking about the force that is fighting to remove us from that situation. That is above that situation. That is beyond that situation. So how the opposing forces of life, which are the narcissistic forces, do this is that they literally, firstly, they have opened the portals, of course, so that many souls of human beings that have been born over the past few generations have been toxic human beings, have been human beings, souls that are basically very demonic. You understand? And then they've also done this by making sure that they set up the social environment in such a way where it's not conducive for goodness, for kindness, for love, for mutual benefit, but it's rather conducive for aggression, for hostility, for corruption, manipulation, deceit, all sorts of horrible things. So this is how the opposing forces of life have set the situation up, right? And so now, once again, if you are a normal human being in this particular society, you will always feel outnumbered. Just let me know in the comment section if you know what I'm talking about. Because if you are a normal human being, if you are a real human being that is able to, look around you and see that there's something wrong with this society, the first thing that you will notice is that you are outnumbered. You are almost always standing alone. The only forces that might be on your side, as I said, are the invisible ones. But when it comes to human beings, you cannot rely on other human beings to see things. And I'm not saying that, everyone should see things from your perspective altogether and all the way and so forth. But this goes beyond just that whole thing of, maybe you are able to get along. No, it's like you are literally standing, in a field and you are looking around you and there's absolutely no one that you can relate to. You understand? It's like everyone sees everything about this world as okay. How is that possible? How is it possible that people would be comfortable with a world where every day children and women are being murdered and there's no justice for them? But people are just happy and they're just getting along in life, and they are busy posting selfies on social media, and life is lifing for them. They are living their best life. How is that possible? It's possible because there are just way too many toxic people than there are people who are actually concerned about the real things. And I'm not saying people should be, upset and downcast per se all the time, and so forth. That's not what I'm saying, because that's not the gospel that we are preaching. But, this conversation needs to be had. They need to create a facade of distorted normalcy to control and oppress real human beings. So they need these numbers. There need to be many of them so that everything that they are doing can come across as normal. One of the reasons why I don't F with Facebook is the fact that I don't know any other, and even with Instagram, because it's the same thing, right? I've never come across any other form of media, social media, that is so narcissist oriented than these two. It's all up. It literally is designed to feed into the narcissism. And narcissists post, things there on these platforms, and they've got so much following, and the algorithm loves them. And, they post all sorts of distorted things, or perverted things, and all sorts of just madness, if not just futility at best. They just post things that are just useless, basically, and once in a while they might just, copy some picture of some, scripture quotes or whatever. But the point is, all the crap that they keep posting, they get about 1,000 likes. They get about 50 million views of just, doing some funny dances, some gyrating type of dances, some sexually provocative type of dances and all of that. And then they got a million likes, or they're just talking a whole lot of crap, or just doing a whole lot of things that are just nonsensical. Sometimes they would even just be throwing shades at other people, like literally insulting people and all of that. And then they'll still be getting many likes. How about literally committing abuse? And then they'll be getting many, many likes, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of likes, million views. And then you'd be thinking, how is this possible? Like, what is going on here? There are just way too many narcissists in the world. Because who's liking these things? Who thinks these things are okay? Who thinks that's the standard that we should be holding ourselves up to as human beings? And these platforms and their algorithms, for them to be promoting such things, that speaks a lot to the social engineering situation. So, and then as a normal human being, it's like you feel outnumbered because, wow, am I the only one that sees something wrong with this? Meanwhile, 50,000 people are basically disagreeing with me. You understand? That's the dynamic, and it's intentional. It's designed to be that way. The whole thing has been set up so that normal people can feel abnormal for being normal, whereas abnormal people can feel normal for being abnormal. It's an upside-down world. It's an upside-down reality. It's a distorted, perverted version of reality. And it uses numbers to distort your perception of reality. Why can't you just be like everyone else? Why can't you just toe the line? Everyone is doing it. Why can't you just do it? Why can't you just be like other children? But you look at other children and it's like, but I don't want to be like other children. Then they look at you like there's something wrong with you. And you're thinking, no. I will always go back to this quote, and I forget who it is that said this, but it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to in a sick society. Why on earth in this day and age would I want to be normal? As in, society's version of normal. Why would I want to be? Because society's version of normal is self-destruction, or at best, it's soul destruction, or at worst, I don't know. Number 2, there's just too much evil in the world. Too much evil in the world. I want to tell you a story about a complex that I once lived in. A few years back, I lived in a small complex with about, I think, five tenants or so, 5 or 6 apartments. Okay, so those 5 to 6, I think I was the 6th apartment there. And, basically there were 6 of us, and then there was also the landlord and the manager of basically the owner of the property and the manager. Do you understand that all of these people, so that's basically 7 people. So all 6, because I'm the 7th one, all 6 of these people were narcissists. Do you understand? All 6 of these people were narcissists. All of them. I was outnumbered. Some of them I was able to pick it up immediately. Some of them I was able to pick it up as I went along. And some of them I only pick it up towards the end, that I was dealing with narcissists. As soon as one narcissist shifts from their position, or maybe moves out of the complex, then the other narcissists start showing their true colors. But previously, during the presence of the other narcissist, that particular narcissist had camouflaged nicely, and you wouldn't even notice that that person was a narcissist. They came across as, quiet, sweet, lovely, gentle, whatever. Can you imagine if I didn't know the type of devil that I'm dealing with, how crazy I would have thought I am, or basically how that would have psychologically affected me? Being in an environment where everyone around you is crazy, because narcissists are crazy. And they will drive you crazy. Or at least they will try. And then you are sitting there, and then you are alone, and you are observing all of these things, and it's like, Am I the only one that thinks there's something wrong with this? How come I'm the only one that sees that there's something wrong with this situation? I'm telling you, one narcissist was, engaging in gossip and daily negative energy spreading. Every day, her mission was just basically to make sure that she shares news with everyone about all the horrible things that are happening in the world. And then the other narcissists, their purpose was to make sure that they cause chaos within the complex, making sure that, where things are supposed to be kept clean and so on, they just mess it up and, basically make life difficult for everyone. Everyone just had to keep cleaning up after this person. And then the other narcissist had their own thing as well. Every single one of them had their own issue. And the most interesting part was that because I was the only one that was not playing along, because I could see the madness in everything that they were doing, and so I was not playing along with all of that, whatever it is that they were doing, all of them seemed to have an issue with me, to a point where eventually we were not talking with all of them. Like I was just not talking with all of them. Some of them, it was just a greeting and that was that. But some of them, literally, we were not even greeting each other. But then after, we parted ways with these people, shortly afterwards, years after I had moved away from, the environment, then I found out that, all the things, all the issues that were there, all the things that they were doing, they got their karma for it. They got some kind of comeuppance for it. They got some kind of spiritual payback for it. All those things turned on them. Whatever it is that they were doing, it ended up working against them. They ended up getting exposed for certain things that they were doing that were just not right. Some of them ended up fighting with the property owner, because for whatever reason. But things just ended up going so wrong for all of them. Some of them ended up getting chased out of the property. Like, it was just a disaster for all of them. As soon as I moved away from the environment, they all just got what was coming to them. Even the property owner themselves ended up getting what was coming to them because they themselves were just as toxic as the people. No wonder they were attracting such kind of people. But I was outnumbered. That's the point. That how is it possible when you talk about statistics? Here are 7 people and only one of them is a normal person. And here's the thing. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm the only one that is a good human being that exists. No, I promise you, if you are an empath, you know very well how much you look for the goodness in others. By the time you reach the conclusion that, oh my word, there's actually no goodness to mine out of this person, like I just can't find anything good in this, or this is a situation that is absolutely unworkable. By the time you reach that point, you would have worked so hard to try and make sure that you are not, misinterpreting anything. You would have tried so hard to make sure that you've tried to be as accommodating, as tolerating, as understanding as possible, that, we are not all the same. People have wounds out here in the world. People are broken. It's a broken society and all of that and everything. But sooner or later, you get to a point where you realize, oh my word, this situation is unworkable. This is a situation that I just cannot work with. Because how many times are you going to tell the same person that what you're doing is a boundary violation? Like, you're literally violating my boundaries. How many times are you going to try and negotiate with the person to say, but that's not a humane way to deal with another person? How many times are you going to tell another human being that if you have an issue with me, let's talk about it, let's iron it out, let's not create a commotion about it? How many times are you going to do that before you eventually get to a point where you realize, oh, this situation is unworkable? Because if you know narcissists, you know very well that this is someone that is not willing to work anything out with you. The narcissist is not trying to resolve anything. They are deliberately trying to create chaos. They are deliberately trying to create war, especially if they have picked up that you are an empath. They know there's energy to extract from you. So they're going to do everything in their power to get your attention. So by the time I reached that conclusion that, oh my word, I'm actually outnumbered here, I promise you, I had done everything in my power to prove myself wrong. There's just too much evil in the world. Too much aggression, too much jealousy, too much hostility, too much brokenness, too much madness. If narcissists were fewer than normal human beings, the world would not be the way that it is. There would be no wars, because who would be fighting those wars? And why would you need to fight a war? Against who? Who would you need to defend yourself from? You wouldn't need to defend yourself from anyone, because there wouldn't be anyone who would be thinking it's okay to basically colonize you, thinking it's okay to attack you, to take things that belong to you, thinking it's okay to just basically come into your life and mess it up for whatever reason. There wouldn't be any need to defend yourself or protect yourself against any of these things, because there would be no one who would be wanting to do these things to you. Who is it that thinks it's okay to just basically enter into war with people? Why is there a need for war? It's because there's just too many narcissists in the world. There's just way too many narcissists. If there were no narcissists, as many narcissists as they are in the world right now, there'd be no corruption, no human and child trafficking, no crime against humanity. None of these things would be there, because why would anyone do any of those things if they are just at peace in their hearts? And all that they are after is just basically, seeking the heart of God, connecting to the truth of who they are, because in Christian terms, you'll say seeking after God. But in, general spiritual terms, you'd say, seeking to connect with the truth of who you are. Seeking to be set free from, all sorts of limitations that this upside down world has set upon us. But instead of, people trying to become free, what people are doing is they are imprisoning each other, destroying each other. There wouldn't be prevalence of such kind of activities. These things would be things that would be unheard of. We would all be shocked whenever it is that they happen. But instead, these things have been normalized. Now you come across as a fool when you are shocked at the level of evil that exists in the world. It's like, what's wrong with you? This is how life is. But how is it possible that we live in a world where it's normal for such kind of things to be happening? For a mother to be selling their own child just because they've got the kind of eyes and I don't know what else is it, some kind of organs that can be harvested. For a mother to be putting their own child in a club where, they get to dance and gyrate, a 4-year-old child, dance and gyrate in front of grown-up men in a club and shake her booty, 4 years old, for grown-up men. And everyone thinks, and if you start saying anything, you are jealous. What's wrong with you? Just because you don't have a child. So now you are having comments about other people, how other people raise their children. What kind of a world is this? There are too many narcissists in the world. Who's okaying this situation? Because there are people involved. Every single act, every single activity of the narcissist, there are people who are involved in it. Who are these people? Many of them are narcissists. Many of them are narcissists, and few are normal people. Have you ever been in that situation where, there's 5 people in the space, you are maybe the 5th person, and everyone is, observing a situation and giving their opinion, and all 4 of these people are in agreement about what exactly is it that situation means to them, and you're the only one that sees the situation in an opposite way, or you see the situation differently. You are outnumbered. So it's going to come across as if those 5 are right, because in an upside down world, majority rules. Truth does not rule. Truth does not prevail. Majority rules. So if the majority is perverted, then perversion rules. And unfortunately, this is the case with our society right now. Number 3, there would be more justice in the world. There would definitely be more justice in the world if there were less narcissists. All right. So because there are more narcissists in the world, then there's just too much placating and accommodating of evil in the world. This is how you know there are too many narcissists in the world. More narcissists than normal human beings. Because everywhere you go, people are justifying evil. We have, the criminal justice system, we've got the legal system, we've got all sorts of systems that are meant to be protecting humanity. Lots of money is going out on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis from people's pockets so that these systems can be put and, maintained in place. And yet at the same time, these systems are not effective. How is it possible that these systems are not effective? Because there's just too much accommodating of evil in the world. People are making excuses for narcissists and their behavior. We've all done it. We've all done it, and we've all regretted it. We've all invalidated other victims until we ourselves were victims, and then we realized, oh my word. But most of the time, the people who are doing this, justifying the narcissism in our society, are narcissists themselves. Basically, other narcissists justifying the behaviors of other narcissists. Narcissists justifying behaviors of other narcissists. That's what I was trying to say. This is how narcissists get away with their evil deeds. And the mere fact that narcissists get away with their evil deeds tells us the kind of society that we're living in, a deteriorated one. You know, and when I say narcissists get away with their evil deeds, on the surface, that's how they get away with it, you know. The justice system of the upside down world is designed, even generally the system of this upside down world, it is designed to accommodate the narcissist and make life as easy as possible for a corrupt, deceitful, evil person. You understand? So the upside down world works that way. And then even when it comes to, you know, justice, it's set up so that there can be so many loopholes, so many cracks in the system, so that the narcissist is not really easily held accountable for their behavior. That's why there are little to no laws against the, you know, conduct of narcissists in our society. But I want to make it clear that when I say that narcissists get away with what they are doing, it's only on the surface, right? It's only within, you know, this society, within the framework of this particular society, this upside down world. But when it comes to divine justice, you cannot get away from that one. There are certain spiritual laws that are just there, they are in place, and you can't do anything about them. And we are grateful for those ones. And I don't believe that it's the demons that set up this kind of laws. I really believe that the higher forces of life are the ones that set up those laws. And these laws have to do with, you know, you will reap what you sow. If you are reaping, if you are sowing destruction in people's life, that's what you will sow in your very own life. That's what you will reap in your own life. Okay, so that's the law. So, and, you know, we will often call it karma. And then the soul trap community might not be happy with us when we start talking about karma. But yeah, so... But definitely, narcissists, from a spiritual perspective, are not able to get away with what they do. They can't, and they usually don't. It doesn't matter how it looks on the surface. There are many people who will tell you about things that narcissists go through, because, and it would be very clear, they would just know it in their knowing also, that the reason why the narcissist is going through these things is because of what they've done to me. I have many testimonies from, you know, people that I work with. I have testimonies from people that I've come across. Even I myself personally, I just, you know, shared with you a testimony just now as well about narcissists that somehow, I don't know, they just found it necessary to try and give me a tough time. And, you know, the thing about narcissists is they don't even learn. Even if they get karma, they just don't learn. But the reality is that they will still get karma. They still do get karma. They do. Richard Grennan will tell you as well here on YouTube that narcissists don't get away with what they do. Because in true reality, narcissists are not just fighting you as a normal human being. They are actually fighting God. They are fighting truth. They are fighting life. They are fighting reality. They are fighting themselves. They are fighting everything and anything. So, from a spiritual perspective, there is divine justice. And I know, you know, the soul trap community may not believe that there is that, you know, that type of a thing in this upside down world, because there are many things that seems to be wrong with our world. And maybe to a certain extent, we might say a lot of things could be designed much more differently than the way they are now. You understand? But I don't want to get into that subject. I just want to focus on this one to say, I know for a fact that narcissists do get their justice. And one of the ways that they get their justice is that there's no peace in the heart of a narcissist. There's no peace. There's no peace, there's no joy. There's no way that anyone would do the things that narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths do if there was peace in their life. I don't care how much of a smug, of a duper's delight they have on their face. I don't care. But one thing that I know for a fact is that there's no peace in their life. There's no joy, there's no rest for the wicked, because theirs is a facade of a life. So they constantly have to work very hard to make sure that they keep up the facade. That's why they need ultimate control. They need, I mean, look at many of them who are narcissists, psychopaths, whatever they are, who are very, very rich people whose names I will not mention. It's like a person has literally achieved anything and everything that a lot of people would have wanted to achieve, but to this person, that's still not enough. They're still, busy pushing. And many times, one of the ways that you see is that you are able to pick up a normal human being, especially where these so-called celebrities are concerned, because not all of them are narcissistic and demonic and all of that, isn't it? Some of them, they're just normal human beings who just somehow ended up in the spotlight for whatever reason. Most human beings, they will reach a particular milestone, and then after reaching that milestone, they'd want to excuse themselves from the limelight, because they would feel like, okay, this is my masterpiece. I've done everything that I needed to do, and I'm happy, and that's that. Let me just, step aside and give the space to other people who want to do this. But narcissists, they need to hoard that spotlight. They definitely need to spot the hotlight, to hoard the spotlight. They will just keep fighting all the way until they die, all the way to their grave, whilst trying to make sure that they just keep getting that attention from people, just keep collecting that money, keep exercising that control. They just cannot let go. No peace. No peace. A 100-year-old person would still be busy trying to, be in entertainment and, and I'm not saying if you're 100 years old, you shouldn't be doing, entertainment or anything like that. But you know what I'm talking about. There are people out there who really should have retired. There are some people who might need to start doing things at age 100, and, kudos to them. But there are others that really need to be sitting down. They need to be retired. They don't need to be doing any of these things anymore, because it's not like they need the money anymore. It's not like they need anything. They need to be resting. But no, they're still pushing. They still want to be out there. They still want to be seen. Because there's no rest. There's no peace. What happens when the curtains close down? Who is going to reflect their awesomeness to them? No one. They feed on the attention that they get. So now if they don't have to get this attention anymore, who are they? There's no joy. There's no peace for a narcissist. That's their divine justice. And that's not the only thing. So let's look at number 4. Low levels of ethical values speak to a civilization that is just not right in its spirit. Okay, so I've already mentioned examples of parents who exploit their children, who are willing to do atrocious things to their children. This is an upside-down world that we are living in, where such kind of things are doable. You understand? Who is it that's buying the organs of a 5-year-old child? Who is it that thinks it's okay to be trafficking a child? Who thinks it's okay to be killing human beings? Who thinks it's okay to let someone who kills other people get away? There are just too many narcissists in the world. Too many narcissists. And, you'd hear people, you'd be talking to people about this. It's going to sound, very gender-based or whatever, what I'm saying now, but it is what it is. It's our reality, right? So there are many women here in South Africa that are being killed by their partners. So it's not like, most people are just, it's not like, so some people, of course, they are dying because they are being killed by strangers out there, and it's women that are being killed by strangers. But also women are being killed by their own partners. And then you'd be talking to other men about the situation. And then you'd hear this man giving excuses about why this other men would be killing their own women. You understand? It's like, how do you justify the murder of another human being? Or let's say a man is, physically assaulting their partner. And then you'd hear another man justifying that. And then you'd hear in the same breath, the very same men also talking about how that it's not only women who are going through these things. Men also go through things. Men also get abused. Men also are dying every day and all of those things. And it's like, but are you trying to invalidate and minimize what is happening to women and children? And you are now trying to take the whole situation and make it about you. Too many narcissists in the world. Just too many narcissists in the world. So which means this type of men, what they gather together, probably many of them have WhatsApp groups even. They probably have some social media type of groups and all of that. And this is where they, share and discuss and connect about all these atrocious, things that they're doing in this world. And they cheer each other up for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are even engaging in, physical activities with each other of, the lower chakras. I wouldn't be surprised if, within these groups, some of these people are lovers with each other. And it's like together as men, they are this thing, that bromance situation that they've got going on. And they don't see the need for women anymore, to the point where they don't see anything wrong with killing women, because they are able to supply each other's needs. In that regard, they feed each other's ego, and they also supply each other's sexual needs. This is the low levels of ethical and moral values that our society has dropped to. So there are just way too many narcissists, too many toxic, because narcissists don't have a specific gender. Narcissists are pretty much androgynous. You understand? Narcissists, they will sleep with anyone. They will sleep with anything. They don't have parameters. There's no limit for wickedness. A narcissist will sleep with anything that they can sleep with. So with that being the case, it's a problem, because can you imagine if we have more of them than normal human beings in our world? And another thing where you can see that we are really having a problem here in our world, in our society, is the fact that single women, divorced women, widowed women, children, disabled people, the elderly, and other vulnerable people in our society, they've never been more vulnerable. This group has never been more vulnerable than it is in our day and age. And who is it that takes advantage of and really hates and harasses people that they deem to be weak, people that are supposed to be protected? Narcissists. Narcissists hate vulnerable people with a passion. I don't know what is it with them. But whenever it is that they come across vulnerable people, or people that they deem to be vulnerable, or that they consider to be vulnerable, narcissist fangs come out. It's a dog-eat-dog world. How is it possible that it's a dog-eat-dog world? Because there are just too many narcissists. They've terraformed the environment so that it can be a dog-eat-dog world. If there were more good people in the world than there were narcissists, these things wouldn't be okay. Society would be taking care of its own vulnerable. It would be protecting its own vulnerable. Empaths and light beings, we are outnumbered. Empaths and light beings are suffering out here in the world. Suffering. I know, because I deal with them every single day of my life. And I'm not saying my situation is any, better than their situation. The only difference between me and a lot of empaths and light beings is the fact that, one, I understand exactly what is it that I'm dealing with. Two, I know where I draw my peace and strength from. That's the only, but apart from that, I'm literally in the same WhatsApp group as any other light being, any other empath out here in the world. I'm going through the same challenges. As I, give you that example, that I find myself in environments, in most instances, where I'm outnumbered, where there's some kind of a narcissist somewhere, somehow they have terraformed the environment, and I'm now having to deal with a situation whereby I'm literally standing alone. And I'm grateful because the light is bright enough. I am grateful because the invisible forces of life, they do their work. And it's not like, I have hired them or anything like that or whatever. These are the protective forces of life that care about humanity. I'm grateful for them. But it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's a perverse society. It's an upside-down world out there, because there are just way too many narcissists. Children of God have to end up walking alone. We are the people that cherish things like family. We are the people that cherish things like, oneness, connection. And I know, there are some people that have an issue with this whole thing of oneness, because then it comes across as if oneness means that you don't have your individuality. But that's not what oneness means. Sometimes I do feel like the soul tribe community sort of like misconstrues and twists some of the things that are spiritual, some spiritual principles and so on. I feel like they do, just twist them upside down in some shape or form, to a point whereby it comes across as if you know every single thing that is spiritual that has been presented to humanity lately, especially if it might be coming through the so-called new age community, then that means everything is absolutely wrong. And that's not how I see it. I don't agree with it. I really don't. So as empaths, as light beings, we believe in togetherness, in unity, in oneness, in connection, community, and all of those things. But in most instances, we end up having to walk alone. Not because we like to walk alone per se, but because it's much more peaceful that way. Because whenever it is that we, put ourselves amidst people, we are having to deal with so much drama, so much unnecessary drama, that it's like, what, I'd rather be alone than unhappy. You understand? That's pretty much where we are now. So, yeah, we deal with a lot, but I know it's not only for me, but it's for you as well. Many of you that are listening, life, God, source, the guides, they always send, one or two or three people into your life that that walk the journey with you, or that step up where the necessary intervention is required from time to time. You understand? So you are never really completely alone per se. But it's not an easy journey. It's a very tough journey. It's a very, very tough journey to walk in. And it's very easy to become very cynical. You understand? It's very easy to become very cynical, because if you are always outnumbered, and you need to understand that, this is a serious war that we are in, and it's a massive war. And the worst part is that it's an invisible war. All right. So it's a war that is being fought on so many levels that absolutely it can be overwhelming to an individual. You understand? Because you are fighting that war on a societal level, on a personal level, on a financial level, on all levels, on a spiritual level. So basically, everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, you are recognizing the fact that there is some kind of an assault that is aimed at you. You understand? And then you are recognizing that it's not just the system that is set up against you, but there are human beings, literally, and many of them, they are supposed to be playing a certain role in your life. Basically, people who are supposed to be loving you, they often end up being the very same people that are in your life to destroy you. So it can absolutely be overwhelming for an individual. And so this is why it's so important to be able to rely on the invisible forces of life, the higher power, the higher forces of life, the true creator. I was just watching a video. I didn't get to watch it, and so now I don't really remember. I just saw it. Sorry, let me just be clear about that part. I just saw it. I just saw a thumbnail on YouTube, and the thumbnail, I don't know if it was Eric Dubay or if it was someone else. Or is it Eric Dubay or Dubai? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. And he was interviewing someone else there, and he was basically just talking about, I think, this soul trap thing. And so he's saying, if life is a lesson, then where's the teacher? All right. And so this is stemming from that whole thing of, really, we keep reincarnating into this realm, and they keep telling us that we need to learn our lessons, and they keep telling us that the reason why we are having to learn our lessons is because we didn't get things right in the previous incarnation, and apparently it's the guides or the angels or whoever it is that we believe in. Sometimes it can even be Jesus. It's like you die, and then when you get to the light, then someone pops up, whoever it is that you believe in, and then they tell you that you need to go back onto earth, and then you need to learn your lessons again. But then when you get onto the planet, they wipe your memory, and then after wiping your memory, it's like, how do you continue correcting yourself if you can't even remember what it is that you've done wrong? You understand? So, and then they also bring in that topic of, if you say that life is, you are here to learn lessons or something along those lines, then where's the teacher? If life is here to teach you lessons, then where's the teacher? So like I get where those narratives are coming from. I really get the gist. I can be very paradoxical, and I can hold dichotomies, and I'm the kind of person that I don't just throw everything away that people say or share with us. You understand? I take it and I try to digest it and try and understand what point exactly is it that is being shared with us here. So for me personally, I would definitely say that it's a very difficult topic, this one. It's a very, very difficult thing, and it's something that I'll probably have to do a separate video for. But my point is that those it's important to understand and to have answers for those kind of questions, absolutely. And for me, I've got my own personal answers to those questions, and some of the questions, I'll be honest, I don't really have answers for them, but I still choose to stick with a certain perspective or certain narrative or whatever it is that you want to call it, that I've just been holding the whole time. I'd rather do that. The reason why I would prefer to do that is because this kind of narratives that are coming from the soul type community can often, lead you into a very dark path where you become so hopeless that, I don't know, it's like you can find yourself losing the joy of life. You can find yourself just, I don't know, completely turning against yourself and against life and so on. And I don't know, I'm not sure how beneficial then that becomes, you understand? So it's good to be able to see a lot of these things, for what they are. Once again, I never want to just embrace one perspective about a situation. I want to embrace the fact that yes, indeed, everything that they're saying is most likely factual, it's most likely true, and so on. But I don't want to assume that that's the only perspective that exists about the situation, because what they are sharing is only a perspective. Just like what any other group of spiritual people is sharing is also only a perspective. It's just one perspective. So why is it that we should just take that one perspective and completely reject other perspectives? You understand? So yes, indeed. There's the recycling lush farm situation going on and the deception of the guides and all of that. But that's not all there is. There is also another perspective about the situation where, or another realm, another reality about the situation where we do have guides, we do have, good and powerful and benevolent forces, and life can be a lesson and all of those things. And those things are still good. You understand? And it's easy to, fall prey into the narrative that it's all bad. It's all bad. There's no hope. It's all futile, it's all useless, and all of that. It's easy to fall into that. But the question is, how does that help anyone? How does that help you? How does that help anyone? So, yeah, I don't even know how I got to this point, but let's look at number 5. So the fact that almost everyone you come across is broken in some shape or form, and the fact that all of this is normalized, that tells you that there are just way too many narcissists in this world than normal human beings. Because let's face it, if there were more normal human beings than there were narcissists, then that means there are going to be more healthier people than there are broken people. You understand? Let's just look at it from a common sense type of perspective. If there were more good people in the world, more normal people in the world, then that means, there would be more emphasis on, creating healthy families, healthy communities, healthy relationships, and so on. But that's not really what the emphasis is, isn't it? And, if there were really more good people, more normal people in the world, more real human beings in the world, then a lot of them would be looking at the situation, like, for example, the programming through music and, TV shows and everything, and even social media and all. Many people would be looking at these things and they will be rejecting them because it's like, no, but this doesn't speak to the truth of who I am. It doesn't align to the truth of who I am. This doesn't seem to be lifting me up to that place where I know I belong. These things seem to be taking me in a direction that I know it's just not where I want to go. But how many, real human beings, good people, have boycotted a lot of these things, but these things are still going and continuing? Who's continuing them? Narcissists, because they were never for real human beings to begin with. They were never for us. They were always for narcissists. They sustain narcissists and they are sustained by narcissists. They thrive despite our rejection of them, because they've got their own little ecosystem going on. You understand? But mind you, even if they've got their own, everything that they're doing is aimed at us. Everything that they're doing, they are able to continue and feed each other's little egos like that and all of that. They're prepping each other's egos all so that they can be able to deceive us into thinking, you see, it's successful, it's happening, it's working, it's good, everyone is doing it. It's just a show. They're all putting up a show for us, playing all sorts of atrocious music, all sorts of horrible TV programming and everything, all sorts of horrible news, programs, everything, all of it is designed to show us as real human beings what they want us to see. So that, we can say, oh, okay, this is real. They're basically just trying to convince us that the whole thing is real. They're trying to convince us that the whole thing is legitimate, the whole thing is valid, the whole thing is right, the whole thing is normal, when it's not. So that you can look and say, you see, everyone is doing it. So that means if I'm not doing it, then the problem is me. No. It's a psyop. It's a setup. It's a show. It's staged. So let's look at number 6. Let's do our own statistics. Okay, so we're starting with, the political sphere. All right, so now we've got, the global politicians. Let's face it, 90% of politicians are narcissists. All right, so at least I'd say maybe probably more than that, but let's just say 90% of politicians are narcissists. So now we've got this global group that is very narcissistic. So those are several hundreds of people, if not thousands. Then we've got the national political people, people within the national political sphere. Once again, we've got hundreds, if not thousands of people. So then we also have, people within the various provinces or states. And these are also, hundreds, if not thousands of, these are typically thousands of people, and we're not just talking about the people in charge, those that are on top, but we're also talking about people who are literally just doing a whole lot of other functions. And you understand, this is a massive machine that's got a lot of heads that are involved in it. It's got a lot of cogs in it. A lot of people are involved, playing some kind of a role, playing some kind of a part in it, isn't it? Then you've got various districts within those provinces and states. You understand, the various smaller communities, basically. And then we've got, politicians even within that, isn't it? And those are also still, hundreds to thousands of people that are involved in all of those things, all across the board, all over the world, basically. So this is a huge part of the population, you understand? And we're just talking about people within the political sphere. We haven't even touched the corporate world. We haven't even touched just the everyday, society. For example, every family has at least about, it depends, isn't it? Like, let's just say, let's look at 3 families, for example. Maybe in those 3 families, one of the families, everyone is likely a narcissist there. And then maybe the second family, half of the family members are narcissists. And then the third family, you might have a situation whereby perhaps more than half of those people within the family are just normal human beings or empaths, you understand? So this statistic on its own, which direction is it taking us? It says there are more narcissists. You understand? Because there are more narcissists than real human beings there. So, but this is the society that we are living in, okay? Huge number, a huge portion of the population is very narcissistic. You look at the media space, the celebrity and media space, people there are narcissists, most of them. Once again, 90% of those people are narcissists, people who are, drawn towards the limelight like that and busy doing these things. Very few of them are just real human beings who maybe are just passionate about what they're doing and so on and so forth. But majority of those people are really just narcissists. And this is a huge chunk of the population. Remember, it's not just one country that you're looking at. It's all over the world. Every country has its own little celebrities, isn't it? So what percentage of the population are we looking at there? So we've got celebrities, we've got politicians. That's a huge portion of the population. Then we've got the corporate world. That's that dog-eat-dog type of a world, isn't it? And then we've got the street world. The world of, prostitutes, excuse the bluntness of it. And no shade on anyone for whatever work that they're doing or anything like that. I'm just, talking about the street world example. And then we've got the pimps, and then we've got the criminals, both white and blue collar crime. I don't know what's a blue collar crime. But you got the violent criminals and the white collar criminals, isn't it? So there's that street life. So majority of those people, the 90% of them are narcissists. We're talking about sociopaths and psychopaths included in, this thing when I say narcissist. So these examples that I've just given you now, this is a huge chunk of the population. Do you understand? There are more narcissists in the world than there are real people. That's why all of these things that I've just mentioned now, if you look at them closely enough, they are corrupted. They are skewed in the wrong direction. They are perverse in some shape or form. And when I'm talking about politics, I'm also talking about government, isn't it? Because politicians are the ones that run governments. Why is our society as upside down as it is? Because the people that are really running the society are upside down themselves. And majority of the people that are running the society are narcissists. And they are not only running the society, but they are also still the people on the ground as well. All right. So definitely when we do our own, common sense type of statistics to just think about, to consider this, various aspects of society and think about what's really going on. And, the statistic that I gave you about families, I'm using an example of my own observation from the various communities that I've been in, particularly the smaller communities, like I'm a village girl. So I've lived in villages, you understand, and villages are small enough so that you are able to observe, the type of community that it is. I didn't only just live in villages, but I've also lived in townships and suburbs, and I've lived in various communities. So I've been able to observe the various type of energies that are at work within those various communities. And I have seen that majority of the community members are very much narcissistic. Very few of the people are real people. And one thing that stands out to me is that most of the time, the real people within those societies are the ones that are suffering. Because they are sensitive enough to the pain that is being unleashed on them by the cruel, cold, horrible dog-eat-dog world. Whereas narcissists thrive, even though things are falling apart within that society, narcissists will still be thriving most of the time. Even if they are falling apart in some shape or form. But, a narcissist only ever gives up when they are dead. You understand? Sometimes I do allow myself to take inspiration from that to say, damn it, if a narcissist can have this kind of resilience, then now, I will also have that kind of resilience. If the devil can have that kind of resilience, as a child of God, I deserve to also have some kind of resilience within me. If the devil can have such kind of resolve in their evil nature, I too, as a child of God, will definitely want to get some kind of resolve as well, high levels of resolve to say, no, I'll also never give up until I die, So there's that level of stubbornness and that level of resilience within a narcissist. It's like they are so committed to their madness that nothing shakes them. They are committed to their illusion. A narcissist, even if literally everything in their life could be just blown up, a narcissist would still be walking there with a spring on their step. They'll be walking there like they own the world. They'll be talking like, they are the most important thing in the world, even if everything has just been blown up in their lives. And of course, they would have blown it up themselves with their self-destructive ways. You understand? But there are just too many of them in the world. Too many of them. And, people look at them. It's like our children don't even have role models anymore. They don't even have people to really look up to anymore, because anytime and every time, you look at TV, you look at social media, you look at this kind of places, it's like, particularly the mainstream media, which is the worst of the worst of them all. Anytime you look at those people, all that you see when it comes to celebrities, for the males, it's people wearing chains, or people just doing some dodgy things, or men just, cheating on their wives or doing horrible things to women. And then also, if it's a girl child, and then they're having to look for a female role model, it's these people booty hopping. It's people just busy shaking their bodies all over the place. People half naked. People just basically poking their tongues out. People just being as wretched as anything. And we call this culture. That's what we do, because we live in an upside down world. That's culture. It's our culture. Whenever it is that there's music that children are supposed to be listening to, it's all about how that you should be doing things to me that are very adulty. And then our children are supposed to listen to this and dance along to it. And then later on, we wonder, why is it that our society is struggling with sexual perversion? Let's look at number 7. Okay, and this is the final one. So things are getting worse, not better, from a societal perspective. Okay, so this is how you know there are way too many narcissists than we would all like to believe. There are more narcissists in the world than there are real, normal human beings. There are way too many narcissists. I don't know about where you are in the world, but here in South Africa, there are way too many narcissists. You go out there in the world, people are angry, people are aggressive, people are hostile, people are ready to just wage war. People are literally, enjoying and reveling and marveling in chaos. It's madness, like it's a mad world. Crime is rife. As I said to you before, children and women are missing, if not found dead in the bushes and all sorts of strange things. Society is deteriorating. People are self-destructing. The economy is a mess. Mental health, there's no more mental health anymore. There's no more mental health. Literally, madness is the new norm. Here in South Africa, it's not a new thing. I've observed this from my childhood. Things that are perverse have always been promoted. People who are mad have always been promoted. And not just by TV and media, but by the society itself. When a person is cheeky and very sassy and very shady in their communication, they are lifted up. It's like, oh, yeah, whoa. I mean, I remember in school, these are the things that other children would be cheering up, when people back talk at each other and they say all these nasty things to each other. This is something that is supported. This is something that is being cheered on. It's like, whoa, she's got to come back. She knows how to, talk the talk and do whatever it is that people are shading each other. So the shadier you are, the more, and we see this now with this new house, this Real Housewife type of programs, isn't it? Where women are literally being catty towards each other. And this is being promoted. It's like, whoa, this is amazing. This is the type of image that is being promoted to society, that this is the type of woman that you basically need to be. You must just be sassy. You must just be catty. You must be aggressive, basically. You must be wretched. You can't be polite. You can't talk calmly. You can't have, calm conversations. No, you can't. You certainly cannot talk about, peace and harmony. Not in our world. Not in my society. And it's not something that is happening now. It's something that has always, as soon as I opened my eyes in this world, this is what I've seen. Adults praising children who are catty. Adults being proud of their children for being aggressive. You'll hear an adult saying, as long as my child is the one that is beating the other children and not the other way around. It doesn't matter that the child is bullying other children. It doesn't matter that the child really has some serious anger problems. It doesn't matter that you don't even want to understand how is it that there is a situation where people are busy fighting with each other like that. You're not even interested in that. As long as your child is winning the fight, that's all that you're interested in. We have grown up in societies where children are able to bring dangerous weapons into a school environment and cause harm, serious harm to each other. And sometimes they even cause serious harm to their teachers. Because we have adult figures who are okay with that type of a thing. Because there are just way too many narcissists in the world. There are more narcissists in the world than there are good human beings. And sometimes it's not just the parents that are, and just society in general, even the teachers themselves. They'd be happy, they'd really be liking and promoting and just proud of children within the school that are just catty. Because we find these things entertaining, we find them fun, they find them fun. There are way too many aggressive, do you understand that when I tell you here in South Africa, I don't know about, as I said, which part of the world that you are in, but here in South Africa, when you go out there in the world, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 or 3 people that you're going to come across who are just hostile in their energy. They're just hostile. They're just angry. They are ready to just wage war with anything and anyone. Those are the sociopaths, you understand? We're not talking about the narcissists that are, hiding in plain sight nicely. We're just talking about the sociopaths there, but they're all narcissists, isn't it? But this is the society that we are living in, where people are angry, people are they are at war. They are ready to basically kill. You make one mistake, you step the wrong way, you make one mistake and, you somehow, I don't know, you touch a person by mistake in passing and so forth. The person wants to kill you. It's just like even on the roads, right? The road raging situation. Somehow, you make whatever mistake on the road, driving or whatever. Then the next thing, the person wants to fight with you on the road. They want to take out some weapon and point it at you. All because you made some silly mistake on the road. And we all know how narcissists are the biggest road ragers in the world. There are just way too many of them. Okay, there are too many narcissists, more narcissists in the world than there are human beings. And the only thing that is keeping things intact right now is the little bit of spark that is remaining within humanity right now. That's the only thing that is still keeping things intact. And by keeping things intact, I'm saying the little bit of peace that still exists, that little itty bitty bit of it. So from a surface level perspective, things are absolutely deteriorating. But at a spiritual level, I absolutely believe that something else is happening. The dynamics are changing, things are changing, and there's very little, to nothing that narcissists can do about it. You understand? But unfortunately, this is more so of a spiritual battle than it is a physical one. So that's why in most instances, we might not necessarily see a lot of results from a surface level perspective. We might not see the victory that the, higher forces of life are gaining for us. You understand? Because many a times, many of us are looking for physical, material proof. You understand? We are looking for surface level proof because we've been conditioned to value the materialistic things of this world more so than the spiritual ones. The most important thing for a human being now is to enter into a state of peace within themselves. This is the biggest riches that you will ever attain, because nothing else in this world will, do anything for you. At best, what this world has to offer will just be, for you to have food to eat and for you to be able to survive on a daily basis, basically. Or rather, should we say at bare minimum? And then at best, what the things of this world can then do for you is fine. You can get nice things. You are surviving, you are eating, but then in a nicer way. But it's still the same thing. You understand? All you'll ever do in this world is survive, eat, and live another day, get to live another day. That's all this world can ever, offer you. You are either doing it from a nice, place, position where you're living in a nice environment, nice house, nice this, nice that. You're driving a nice car. You understand? You're living a luxurious life, but it's the same thing. You are waking up every day, you are eating, and you are surviving. That's all. You understand? You might do it in a nice place, as I said, you might be, your way of surviving might be, enjoying the fact that you've got your nice jacuzzi or whatever, but the fact remains you are just surviving another day. You understand? But without peace, you have nothing. What shall it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? Without peace, you have nothing. If you're a real human being, you know what I'm talking about, because you're not looking for these things. You are just looking for peace. You're looking for that experience, that state, that place, or that, I don't know how to put it, but you are just looking for that moment or that experience where you can just be at peace with yourself and with life. Just be at peace in general. That's all. And to say, okay, fine, you know what? The sun is rising in the east and it's setting in the west, and narcissists are coming and going, and the world, generations are rising and falling, and the world is going, to hell in a handbasket. And, here I am. Here I am. At peace within myself. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that whatever it is that is happening in the world is okay. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. It is wrong, okay? But I'm not allowing any of these things that are happening out here to determine what gets to happen within me, inside my heart. I'm not going to give, this world has literally taken everything else away from me. You understand? This world has taken my divine nature in terms of, I could be flying around right now, but instead I'm, caught up in a mortal coil. I'm having to walk. Let's talk about the birthing process that women have to go through. Did it have to be that way? Soul Trap community, where are you? Did it have to be that way? You understand? So there's so much that this world has, so much predicament that this world has put me in. And so for that reason, it has taken so much away from me. It's very difficult to really enjoy yourself in this world. And it's not just the nature of this world itself, but the system as well. The system has set itself up so that literally I have to pay for every air, for the very air that I breathe. You understand? So meaning it's doing everything in its power to take away my peace. And so mine is to say, regardless of all of that, I choose to not give it this one thing. Where they say, I have one thing, I have something that this world cannot take away from me. This world has not given it to me, and this world cannot take it away from me. It's the peace that I choose to cultivate within my heart, to say, regardless of whatever it is that is happening, I choose to be happy. I choose to be at peace within my heart. And I choose to take the dependence of that peace from external sources. That peace, I choose to decide that is not going to come from external sources, because I've seen in this world that its aim, it does everything in its power to make sure that it takes away my peace. Everything that it does, it's aimed at taking away my peace. But I refuse to give it to give it away. I refuse. It's horrible. We have way too many narcissists in this world, and that's just how it is. There's just way too much evil in the world. That's just how it is. There are way too many fools in the world who think they are smarter than God. That's just how it is. But I choose to be at peace within myself. Narcissists can't take this peace because they don't know how to even give it to me. And this peace has nothing to do with my financial status, my financial position, my social currency. This peace has nothing to do with how many likes and views and all those things that I get. It's just my own peace, where I choose to just be still and, to breathe. Because why on earth would I continue or want to continue to torture myself over and above all the torture that the world is dishing out at me? Torture myself for the fact that I'm not driving a particular car. Torture myself for the fact that I'm not living in a particular house. Torture myself because I don't have any particular social standing. Why should I continue to punish myself for things that I have no control over? Things that have been deliberately designed so that I don't have those things, so that then I should not have my peace. Why should my peace be dependent on things that I have no control over? The world is punishing humanity enough, particularly if you have a heart to be able to feel those things, the punishment that is being dished at you. So I'm not going to participate in the world's punishment of me. The world can continue and try and do whatever it is that it does. It can try and take whatever it is that it wants to take from me. But this peace comes from within. The peace of God. Don't be triggered. This world does not know how to give that peace, and this world can never ever take away that peace. I choose that peace. I don't know what's going to happen if I die, whether I'm going to meet the guides, when I die, because eventually we are all going to die. I don't know if I'm going to meet the guides who are going to tell me that I still have some karma to work out and I have to recycle back into the wheel of samsara and then end up, getting farmed again into this lushed farm. I don't know. But I choose not to take away my peace because of that. The people who have their own testimonies, their own stories and experiences with regards to the guides, after having their near-death experiences and so on and so forth. I don't know what I don't know about that. I don't know those people. I don't know about their experiences. I don't know anything about them. So I can't speak about them. But I choose not to take their testimony and make it my own testimony. And I'm not saying I'm invalidating their experiences. I don't know what I don't know. But one thing that I know is that the mere fact that I don't know, that is enough for me to say I can't jump into any conclusion about that because I don't know. So why on earth would I take away my peace because of something that I don't know? It looks and feels like the devil is in control. It looks and feels like God doesn't exist. It looks and feels like the opposing forces of life have won against the good forces of life, the higher forces of life. But do I really know that that's really what's happening for sure? I don't know what I don't know. But the question is, what is it that, is going to be beneficial for me? I don't know how long I have to live in this world, but for the remainder of my life, am I going to torture myself? Am I going to live out that remainder of my life torturing myself based on things that are outside of my control? Or am I going to choose to be at peace with myself? In the words of Ralph Smart, am I going to, and I'm not promoting Ralph Smart, but, sometimes it says, breathing in that good as prana. I'd rather choose to breathe in that good as prana and be at peace rather than be fighting things that, like there are just too many battles. I've mentioned to you 7 things here. All of those things, if you look at them, those are battles that we are having to fight. And I did mention that as a real human being, you are fighting many battles on so many levels. So why on earth would I want to also add additional battles about, now I'm fighting, I'm losing sleep, I'm losing peace over the fact that even when I die, I might end up having to be recycled again and having to suffer again like that. I choose to believe. I choose to believe that all things are working together for my good. I don't know. I don't understand. I just know that it's a wicked world that we are living in. But I choose to believe that all things are working together for my good. As I said, I don't know how, and I don't know why it had to be this way. And perhaps I could have chosen better if I knew how. But it is what it is. This is how things are. I might not like it, but I refuse to allow it to take away my peace. It's all I have. It's all I have. I have nothing else. My peace is all I have.